What's poppin', y'all? Looks like Lil Uzi Vert is back into it. Just as I'm finishing up a video on Love is Rage. So unfortunately, we got some bad news here. And that is Lil Uzi Vert's lawsuit, which this was one of the quickest turnarounds of a lawsuit that I've ever seen. It was almost as quick at no, I would yeah, it was not as quick as the turnaround of the Cassie Diddy lawsuit, but here it was the second closest. And this started off with some crazy accusations against Lil Uzi Vert, and I wish I could say I were surprised, but we're going to go through a couple of them. And just to let everybody know, this lawsuit got dropped. The reasons why it got dropped, we don't know, but it was likely because some money was handed out, something happened. But the people that were named in this lawsuit is Samir Woods, who is Lil Uzi Vert and Lil Uzi Vert's company, but also Rock Nation LLC. And the complaint was for workplace harassment and failure to pay overtime. But mainly the biggest deal here was the harassment. And when you just look at the introduction, you're like, whoa, this is already crazy. Which it says right here, when Plaintiff Doe was first offered the opportunity to work as Uzi's assistant in February of 2022. So it's really important to know the year because that's when we get to know Uzi's, not his mental state, but we get to know what era of Uzi this was. So 2022, that sounds like Pink Tape era. That was like in the lead up to the Pink Tape because the Pink Tape released 2023 around June. So we got a lot of Pink Tape era stuff in that time frame. 2022, he didn't really drop music since 2020 at that point. So it was 2 years of no Uzi music, and Eternal Take, it was mixed reception upon release, but I think over time we can say like Eternal Take was great, right? Well, I'm saying it's great. So it says she knew that sleepless nights and long hours would be part of the job. So be it. So she understood that. What she did not contemplate and could not have contemplated was the quick escalation of the job from intense and demanding to downright hostile and inappropriate. Supported by his management team, that's the dangerous part, because the management team is Rock Nation. Keep in mind, Rock Nation picked up, they manage Megan Thee Stallion as well, but they picked up Uzi, and the label that he signed to is Generation Now via Atlantic Records. So Generation Now Atlantic, the people that signed him were DJ Drama and I can't believe I'm forgetting the other guy's name. Damn, I hope he forgives me. Don Cannon. DJ Drama and Don Cannon. I don't know. I was thinking like DJ Cannon. I was like, no, it's Don Cannon. The D confuses me. Pause on that one. And it says, so supported by his management team, Uzi for 2 years hounded Plaintiff Doe during her employment as his artist management coordinator with unwelcome demands and advances such as the following. I sent you something on Vanish. Come rub me down before you leave. I'm by myself right now. Send me something. Let me see that booty. What the hell is going on here? Ironically, defendant Woods himself summed up precisely how unlawful his perception and treatment of Plaintiff Doe were when he wrote her, "You are more than my assistant. You are my B." I'm like, damn, he's moving like this? And the defendant could endure no more of Uzi's unlawful behavior. His constructive discharge of her coincided with her suffering severe emotional distress and prolonged physical illness. After years of loyally serving the defendant, she now brings this action to seek a measure of closure and justice for a years-long pattern of employment law violations, abuse, and harassment. So the reason why this is bad is because with the allegations, it ties in Rock Nation, and they also want Uzi to appear good because that helps them. You guys remember how like a lot of things with both Uzi and Cardi, you could say there's 1629 on this one, just thrown under the rug, swept under the rug. You don't really hear about it after a day or two. You're like, why is nobody talking about this? And then there are certain things that get blown so out of proportion where like, whoa, they're making mountains out of a molehill, like what people usually say. So where he met this lady she was the assistant to the VIP sales manager at the Balenciaga store in LA. And yeah, they said impressed by her service and professionalism, he offered her a job as assistant. Is that really what he was impressed with? We just got to put it on legal papers. But when we see how Lil Uzi was talking to her in some text, allegedly, that were put in this lawsuit, do you think he was impressed with her service? I don't know. He was probably impressed. He was probably impressed by the potential service that he felt he could get from her. So Uzi's manager contacted her, got her information, and set a salary for $50,000. She would be paid through his company. And then they toured her, and then she was also expected to be available on call from the first week for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and expected to respond to text messages or phone calls immediately. And when she failed to do so, she was bullied in group chats by members of Uzi's team. This is the assistant job is such a, dude, this is people. I remember that girl, Quinlan Blackwell, she got a little bit of backlash for this, where she was saying like, oh man, streaming, that feels like, being in chains. Dude, being an assistant, that feels like being in chains, because you're not getting, even, you look at Diddy's assistants, right? They were getting paid a decent salary, but does it really end up being a decent salary when you're on call 24 hours a day and this guy's cleaning up after freak offs? Like, come on, dog. Now, I'm not saying Uzi was doing that. I would never say Uzi's doing that. But I'm just saying being on call for a rapper who has mood swings, who is on, different types of drugs, all of this stuff that's going around them, it is chaotic, and it probably sounds cool for a little while, but then, reality starts to set in. So she would even say, like, she would be working sometimes 12 to 39 hours straight on the road when he was doing a festival tour circuit. So she would have to buy and deliver food, pack his bag with clothes and toiletries, things like that. That's like luggage, making sure that it was transported. This is assistant stuff. We can expect that from her. But then it says she started comparing her hours. This is also the funny thing. He had her bring in weed, tobacco, and also rolling papers, all that, also vape pens, and it looks like Uzi's favorite bottle is the Casamigos. Looks like he messes with that heavy. And then she was saying like, yo, my hours are not adding up with this $50,000. This does not make sense. And then she got shut down by Uzi's manager, who was saying like, nah, she was only supposed to get $50K, which is just like, okay, I guess. But after the 2022 era happened, 2023 is when she is claiming that the harassment began. So on February 6, 2023, she got a call from a senior vice president at Rock Nation who invited her, and he offered her a salary of $75,000 through Rock Nation via his management team. So the management company was going to pay her salary to deal with Lil Uzi Vert. So she was kind of working for Rock Nation, I guess officially, because they would probably handle all the business behind that. But after another meeting, when she met with the CEO, Desiree Perez, she requested a salary of $100,000, and she got the $100,000 and a relocation fee, and that was just to start. So they doubled her salary. However, Uzi probably heard about that. I don't even know if he knows what happened to her salary. But this is when he started to send her a bunch of messages. So some of the messages were, can you stay with me today? I'm going to go to hotel just to sleep later, though. I will be nice. What do you mean by that? Just want to sleep. I don't like sleeping by myself. I won't touch you. We are literally not going to do ish, girl. I can control myself. It's also like, dog, like, what's going on here? And yeah, so she refused, and she said like, hey, I'm not going to do that. And then she said that this would be a 2-year cycle. So 2 years of this she endured. Now, I'm not saying that she deserved to endure this, but if this started in 2023, she did 9 months. Usually I'd be like, yo, why doesn't she just get out of there? It's probably difficult, but I think that in her mind, she was probably like, listen, the first 9-10 months were fine. It was tough work schedule, but this thing started a year in to them working together. So maybe, like this was just a little phase that he was going through, and it was going to end soon, and they would get back to a professional working relationship, which is optimistic to say the least. But then she would talk about a couple of different And keep in mind, the plaintiff was in committed relationships during those 2 years that she said, and that she had to keep his flirtation secret to keep her job and avoid personal and professional turmoil. And then on August 6th, throughout August, between August and November, they would mention a couple of other tweets. I sent you something on Vanish with the halo emoji and the winking eye emoji with the tongue sticking out. Send me something while I'm by myself on Vanish. Dude, I don't tell a soul, and I don't be having anything. That's why I Vanish mode. FaceTime me before I got to do my call. That same closed one winking emoji with the tongue out. Come rub me down before you leave. Like, damn, Uzi, I'm by myself right now. Send me some. This is over months. He did not get the hint. Oh, it wasn't even a hint. She works for you. So she would also be working 12 to 20 hours days, and then she was not being reimbursed and she was also having to pay out of pocket for certain expenses, and she felt she was not being reimbursed. And on top of that she was not getting overtime. And this is the problem with it. So that's the problem that she has with Roc Nation. But this gets tied in to the situation of the harassment, which is why I think Roc Nation just said, hey, look, take this bread and get out of here. And you would also talk about her having like a fat behind. And this is the most egregious part, where he texted her, stop being so effing soft. This me to you. No black rapper would be able to tell a white girl stop being soft. Well, today I am. Doesn't this text thread look like it could have just been sent from Ye? And we wouldn't be the wiser. We'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Ye would say something like that. Stop being soft. I don't care if you mad, sad, cry, whatever. You're a girl. You supposed to. And then when she apologized, he said, you are more than my assistant. You are my B. And then this is where I was talking about him probably not being in the greatest mental state. This is actually after Pink Tape. So this would be in 2023. No, this was July of 2024, actually, when he was really angry. You are not even on drugs like I am. I don't understand you mental over being successful. You are basically saying F what he say, like I'm just a pushover. But I'm not upset. Life only gets better. I'm not trying to be in a bad mood. Everybody counts me out. Like I'm really not a star. I feel that ish. But I have somebody doing it today. Just a little upset, honestly. I'm just mad. It's cool. And this is, so like I said, this was 2024. This is probably when Cardi was getting a lot of hype. 2024 was also Eternal Atake 2. So I think EA2 wasn't getting the right reception. That was around November 1st, 2024. So when he sent these texts, if we line up the dates, no, this was July of 2024. So this was in the lead up to Eternal Atake. So he's probably EA2. So he's probably really, really stressed in the lead up to that. This is not justifying anything that Uzi did. My whole point is that you guys remember when Uzi pulled up on St. John and Brittany Bird in the street, and there was like footage of it, and then they alleged TMZ in their article said that he put the hammer to Brittany Bird's pregnant belly and said something crazy. This is all alleged. That's what they're saying. And that got swept under the rug like crazy. This also got tossed really quickly. So Uzi is, just from the allegations, is moving like a madman. But Roc Nation is doing an excellent job of covering it up. And this is why I don't want to hear anything from when people want to take aim at quote-unquote bad people in the industry. Like a lot of these rappers, and when you're working for a rapper, I don't think that they see the assistant as a lot of rappers just don't take things professionally. I feel like more with like pop acts, they understand like, okay, hey, this is my assistant. This is a business. My assistant does assistant things. In rap, they're like, yo, my assistant, especially if I picked up my assistant because she's fine or because I think she's fine, that she's entitled to get with me or she owes me that, which is like, this is a huge boundary. And this reminds me of I forgot what season it was of Suits, but when Harvey, I think Donna leaves and Harvey's looking for a new assistant. And then there's two assistants. One that is really, really good and is older and she's made to be unattractive. And then there's one that is like younger and she's supposed to be really attractive and she's decent at her job too. And what Harvey does is he takes the one that is quote unquote ugly and he hires her. Because he's like, there's no temptation there with her. There is no, like, he knows she's going to be on point. and that's just going to make him do his job better. But looks like Uzi wasn't thinking about it like that. But I just think it's kind of crazy. I feel this makes me feel bad for certain artists that do less crazy. Like when we look at the history of Uzi and Cardi and the allegations that they've been hit with, the baby lost his career for a couple of words on stage. Like that is how the baby's at the peak of his career. He says a couple of words on stage that people blow out of proportion. The words that the baby said was, yo, if you if you slobbering on knob in the parking lot, or if you got AIDS or something like that, and people took that as him attacking people that are like doing fruity activity, which I don't think he said that specifically. Yeah, he was probably alluding to it, but they tied the AIDS thing to that, and then they just spread that everywhere, and they destroyed him. They severely harmed the baby's peak and his ability to ascend after that. Like it harmed him for months. Yet you've got all the crazier stuff that other rappers have done, just Uzi and Cardi in general, that it's like they didn't miss a beat. So that it just makes me feel bad for certain artists like that just don't have the right people. And who are those right people? I don't know. Well, I feel like we're not supposed to know who these people are because they're the ones that are handling and cleaning up all the messes behind the scenes. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.